Not all of them, some of them though.
Jim Jones was never better than Nas. Jim Jones will never be better than Nas. And this is coming from somebody that's not a Nas fan. I love Dipset. I love the Diplomats. I love Bird Gang. But we not about to start rewriting history because Jim Jones got confidence.
Once more, there was a frenzy on the internet, and Jim Jones ended up at the Storm Center. It all began when he made an appearance on Club Shay Shay and subtly disparaged one of the greatest hip-hop artists of all time. NAS? Yes, it is correct. Jim became a little too at ease during his talk with Shannon. Sharpe and ended up saying things that sparked a furious response throughout the society. Although it was merely a casual comment rather than a diss track or combat verse. 50 Cent was openly ridiculed because of the disrespect. This is how it happened. Jim Jones was discussing his career, influence, and position in the New York rap scene with Shannon Sharpe. Before NAS's name was mentioned, the conversation was quite typical, with people saying things like, "I'm a legend too." Jim dropped the line at that point, sending shockwaves through the room. No one is playing NAS like that on the streets anymore. Shannon made an effort to maintain a professional demeanor, but the look on his face said it all. "Bro, what did you just say?"
Recently saw a clip on Instagram where a young kid was comparing you to Nas and saying that you got
Yeah, that's my young boy.
big hits.
He's wild.
Yo, he looked to you. He learned how to wear the BB Simon belt from you. He got his swag. Like, how crazy is that? Because in my era, you know what I'm saying? Nas is like a god.
In my
the movie Belly is shit like.
And it only required that. Social media exploded minutes after the interview went live. Comments from fans were overwhelming, denigrating Jim and saying things like, "Bro, you can't disrespect NAS, the man who gave us Illmatic, Stillmatic, and King's Disease." Jim was accused by many of being a jealous rapper who couldn't appreciate the aging of great legends. However, as 50 Cent learnt about it, things truly took a turn for the worse. You are aware of 50. He never passes up the chance to stir things up, particularly when Jim Jones is involved. He shared the video on Instagram a few hours later, writing, "Look at this goofy slick talking about NAS, like he's one of them. You're out of your lane." Boy, in just a few hours, that post alone received over 500,000 views. The remarks were harsh as well. Fans were laughing, claiming that 50 had returned to his bullying ways and cautioning Jim not to react this time. The fact that 50 and the Jim have a similar past made it even more difficult. Their conflict dates back to the early 2000s, when street respect and supremacy were vital to New York rap during the Dipset versus G-Unit era. Jim unintentionally gave it to 50, who had been waiting for this very time on a silver platter. Jim offered 50 the ideal opportunity to remind everyone that not only is NAS invincible, but Jim has been pursuing validation for years by focusing on him, and obtained.
Honestly, I can't, like, if it was like Jim Jones, imagine putting a pen to paper to write about him. He was so nice about him. How did you do that? What's the first sentence? What the fuck you writing about him? I'm not anxious to hear the Jim Jones diss record. Like, I'm like, yo, the used to have so nervous was like B.I.G., Pop, right? Even Cannabis, like Eminem, used to have you like, if we go at it, dog, we gotta go hard. You know what I'm saying? But these Jim Jones, like, I respect you getting your money. You're like, exactly, right?
Let's maintain 100. Jim's statement wasn't merely audacious. It sounded completely tone-deaf. NAS isn't a traditional reclining rapper. He continues to work half the game today, making him a living legend. NAS released King's Disease 1, 2, and 3, and Magic in the last few years. With its Grammy-winning acclaim, mature man knowledge, and poetic passion, it has gained respect from all generations. Jim was out here discussing who was attractive in the streets at the same time. He was immediately called out by fans. "You can't equate heritage with mixtape relevancy, bro." Shannon Sharpe appeared somewhat uneasy as well, His body language made it clear that he wasn't attempting to make fun of Jim. He tried to change the topic of conversation while giving you a serious look right now. Jim persisted, though. "I'm just being honest," he remarked. "The younger generation isn't paying attention to NAS. That is a fact." The fuse was lit in an instant. You see, NAS can show himself without being popular. His legacy is self-evident. He is one of the few rappers who is respected by all age groups without pursuing social media influence. And for that reason, the internet turned against Jim right away. He was harassed by fans who called him insecure and accused him of attempting to undermine other musicians in order to increase his own relevance.
Yeah, Jimmy boy, you should have never brought this up. Y'all are only 3 years apart, and Nas is just like murdering you. You asked us to look up the stats, and here they are. Like Jim Jones, like you got a couple songs. I mean, like literally, it's a couple. But we're talking about Nas. Let me show y'all Nas's last projects. Nas been getting it in since 2018. Jimmy, when the last time you put out an album? Oh, would you look at that? You have been dropping music. You've really been dropping music.
However, do you know who actually fueled that fire? 50 Cent. He didn't only make fun of Jim once. He switched to full 50 mode. A crisp line, old Dipset clips, and memes. When was the last time someone played We Fly High? Jim mentioned that no one was playing Nas. The internet erupted over that one comment. 50's back to his classic trolling was one of the many hilarious comments left by fans. As if that weren't enough, 50 went live to an event and emphasized, saying, "You can't talk down on NAS man." One of those legends is that if you have never left Harlem, you cannot compare yourself to a god. The audience went crazy. He even implied that Jim has been pursuing influence rather than making music. Every episode has him discussing someone else. Go release a hit. This is made much more bizarre by how intimate it felt. 50 wasn't merely standing up for NAS. He was making fun of Jim's entire credibility. The same man who made an effort to regain attention through podcasts and interviews now had his story turned upside down. 50 reminded everyone that meat, not bars, was the source of Jim's greatest experiences, and the fans were having a great time. Every joke, meme, and video from 50 went viral. Because, let's face it, a beef becomes must-watch entertainment as soon as 50 steps in.
I never got to, did I ever got to see Nas? I never got to sit down and have a conversation with Nas and things like that. I had called you about it and things like that. That was like, still one of the people that I never got to have a conversation throughout my history of rap and things like that. I think I would love to have a conversation with Nas. I wouldn't know if he knows it, but Nas was one of my all-time favorite rappers coming up and things like that.
I've heard you say that.
Since the barbecue and things like that. Like he really put the whole dope boy rap, crack hustler, get fresh rap into perspective before anybody.
However, this goes beyond 50 Cent standing up for NAS. It's larger. It's about appreciating hip-hop and understanding who genuinely has the right to discuss legends. One of those untouchable names is NAS. You honor him rather than disparage him. He is a cultural icon, the model for lyricism, business savvy, and game development. From Omatic to KD3. NAS has aged gracefully in a society that devours the weak while maintaining the sharpness of his writing and the relevance of his trade. Jim, an artist who is more known for his image than his discography, hit a nerve when he said those things. Jim is a tough guy. Without a doubt, he has hits. However, the delivery came across as jealous. As if he was attempting to downplay excellence in order to feel more powerful. And 50 sensed it right away, because he is a predator. That's what he does. He finds vulnerabilities and uses them as infectious ammunition. And keep in mind that NAS and 50 have a long history together. They arrived in New York at roughly the same time, and despite their ups and downs, they admire one another. Years ago, NAS even acknowledged 50 as one of the few artists who were revolutionizing the New York sound. Therefore, Jim's goal against NAS was more than just a diss towards a legend. It was an insult to the core principles of traditional hip-hop, the foundation created by artists such as 50.
Remember, Nas' first record, The Barbecue, came out when I was in 11th grade.
Yes.
So Nas was my idol when I was young. Like you did, came to dressing, the wordplay, the music, everything. I was a superior Nas fan, period. I'd never take that away from him. But then as I got in the game, you gotta realize that your rivals would be idols, and not to take anything away from that, I developed my own style and my own lane that these kids start to gravitate towards the same way I gravitated towards Nas when I was younger and things like that. It's a whole different generation. No, me, Jim Jones. No diplomats, no nobody else. Me, Jim Jones. Check my track record, then check everybody else's track record. Then go to the billboards and check all my entries, then check all them entries. And I'm not taking nothing away from nobody, but I hear the comparisons and then be trying to act funny when it comes. No, I've been spanking a lot of this about the industry. I've been putting on.
The most bizarre aspect. Jim most likely thought he was simply being truthful. However, the way he presented it sounded bitter. This wasn't a helpful criticism. It was the supporters who were not amused with the shade. Overnight, Twitter was ablaze with threads, contrasting Nas's achievements with Jim's business, platinum albums, and Grammy endeavors, as well as cultural influence. In contrast, Jim's accomplishments began appearing diminutive. Next, the thought parts dropped. It was framed by hip-hop journalists as a matter of respect between generations. They claimed Jim as a social media representative. In a time when bars are frequently overshadowed by hype, NAS, on the other hand, exemplifies artistry that stands the test of time. Even one article observed, Jim Jones misdirected attention for significance, an error that legends never. And 50 Cent continued to ignite the flames. Each time Jim attempted to explain, 50 jabbed again. When Jim stated, "I ain't mean no disrespect," 50 retorted, "Hey dude, you already did. Hold that." Fans summed it up perfectly. Hell, 50 humorously roasted Jim, and a troll is the most harmful thing there is, armed with charm and facts. So, what does that mean for Jim? To be honest, in a difficult situation, when 50 begins to cook, recovering cleanly is nearly impossible. He is an expert at making someone appear stupid without even putting out a song. Jim is now rushing to defend himself by saying he was just telling the truth. But the harm is done. It is viewed by the culture as another rapper using polished language to maintain relevance. And 50 made sure the story stuck. 50's The argument went beyond simply standing up for Nas. He reminded everyone that genuine respect, it's not about clout or trends in hip-hop. It has to do with legacy. He expressed it very effectively in his life. NAS doesn't require continuous rotation. He's already eternal. Moreover, Jim's entire speech was cut off by just one line. It's dispute. Jim worries about who is attractive. Even now, NAS's name will still command respect in decades to come. That's the distinction between transient fame and enduring excellence. To make things even worse, Jim's comments set off a chain reaction of OGs taking over. Rappers such as Styles P, Busta Rhymes, and even Fat Joe began dropping online subliminal shots, demonstrating how the disrespectful nature of some of these interviews had evolved. Supporters realized right away who was being cited, as if the myths had created a shielding circle, sending a clear message. When idols are disrespected, there are repercussions. In the meanwhile, 50 Cent maintained the pressure. He posted a picture of Nas with the words more pertinent than the man who claimed he wasn't. And the comment section exploded. Emojis of laughter are all over the place. Even Nas's fans commented, "You can't diss a king while you're still pursuing your throne." The circumstances are ideal, demonstrating the disparity between rappers pursuing headlines and those constructing enduring legacies. Jim might have been attempting to convey a message on today's scenario, but he unintentionally brought up everyone who believes that genuine tales endure. They change. Regarding 50, he did just as he always does, protect his when grilling someone to forgetfulness. Jim Jones entered that interview assuming it was informal dialogue. But he left looking similar to another 50's virus joke. Disrespect in hip-hop travels quickly, but karma is even quicker, with a culture observing in with words from the 1950s resounding around. Jim is gaining knowledge the hard way. When you arrive, even 50 Cent, who might be a legend like NAS, appears to bury you twice.